Okay then, in this video we're going to have a look at Khrushchev's secret speech, which is a crucial part of de-Stalinisation. Now it's made at the party committee in front of all the kind of delegates of the Communist Party, many of whom were Stalin's people. Many as well, as we know, were also people Khrushchev had promoted and given a job. Now, what happened was, I think it was a week this meeting took place or something like that. Is on the very, very last day, Khrushchev suddenly announced that he'd like to make a speech to the Communist Party gathering. And so this became the infamous secret speech. I'm pretty sure you want to actually listen to it. I'm sure they've actually put an edited recording of it on YouTube. However, I'm going to read out a bit of the speech from the Lynch book and some of. What's quite nice is it's got some of the audience reaction as well. So I'll bring up the Lynch book, and again, do look at it yourself. Well, you're going to have to do some questions on this anyway, so you'll look at it yourself at some point. So I'm going to go through Khrushchev's speech. I won't do it in a Russian accent. So if you give me a moment, I will get up a copy of the speech. Okay, so the speech went, of the 139 members and candidates of the party central committee who were elected at the 17th Congress, 98 persons, i.e. 70%, were shot, mostly in 1937 to 1938. Indignation in the hall. No, that type of thing. The only reason why these 70% were branded enemies of the party and of the people was that honest communists were slandered. Accusations made against them were fabricated and revolutionary legality was gravely undermined. Shock horror. The same fate befell not only the Central Committee members, scroll down, but also the majority of the delegates to the 17th Party Congress. Of 1,966 delegates, 1,108 persons were arrested on charges of counter-revolutionary crimes. This very fact shows how absurd, wild and contrary to common sense were the charges of counter-revolutionary crimes made against a majority of the participants in the Congress. Yeah, quite right. We should recall that the 17th Party Congress is historically known as the Congress of the Victors. Delegates to the Congress were active participants in the building of our socialist state. Many of them fought and suffered for party interests during the revolutionary years and at the Civil War fronts. How then can we believe that such people could prove to be two-faced and join the camp of the enemies of socialism during the era of liquidation of the Zinoviev, Trotskyites and rightists, and after the great accomplishments of socialist construction? Lots of cheers and clapping. An example of vile provocation, of odious falsification, and a criminal violation of revolutionary legality is the case of the former candidate member of the Central Committee, Comrade Ike, who had been a party member since 1905. Commotion in the hall. Ike was arrested on the 29th of April 1938 on the basis of slanderous materials. He was forced under torture to sign a confession in which he and several other eminent party workers were accused of anti-Soviet activity. Comrade Ike was shot on the 4th of Feb. Shock horror, how terrible. It has been definitely established now that Ike's case was fabricated. He has been posthumously rehabilitated. Yay, cheers. So you can see from this speech, can't you, how Khrushchev was targeting the activities of Stalin at, as I said here, this particular party central committee that took place. Not sure what year it was actually. I think it's in the early to mid 1930s, and was using the purges which took place to say that these were wrong. Basically, Stalin, was wrong in doing these things. So what I'd like to do, if you look in your booklets, okay, you see there's some lovely questions on this. So what were the key criticisms that Stalin made of Khrushchev? What was the reaction of the speech by those listening to it, and why? Okay. And then there's this table about how bold do you think Khrushchev was in making this speech. So we're thinking about, the circumstances he was making it to, the audience he was making the speech to. And then think also about what he missed out. What was it perhaps a weak speech? What crimes of Stalin did he not kind of stress or discuss? So again, if you read the Lynch book around where that speech was, it also gives you some stuff for this. What is quite notable about this party speech was how it caused very little discontent across the Soviet Union. The only place there appeared to be any unrest at this de-Stalinization was in Tbilisi. Tbilisi is the capital of Georgia. Stalin was from Tbilisi in Georgia. So in some ways, any unrest in that part of the world might have been kind of expected, I suppose. And then this final bit I want you to do on this is just to imagine, just to think about how might someone in these positions have reacted. So if you're a member of the secret police, the MVD, under the time of Stalin, how do you think you might react to this news that that Stalin was this monster and all these people have been executed under false pretenses? You may have blood on your hands yourself, so just have a bit of an imagination. Think, how would a person in that position have perhaps felt about hearing of this speech? How would a communist member in Tbilisi have felt? We kind of touched on that. What about Molotov? How do you think he might have felt about this? And again, perhaps look into why Molotov might have particular feelings around this sort of issue. And how might someone who's just an ordinary Soviet citizen, perhaps a relative of someone who was arrested and perhaps disappeared under Stalin, how do you think they might have felt at hearing this speech and the words of Khrushchev in 1956? Okay, so if you get that done, that'd be brilliant. And what I will do, I'll do another video, probably at the weekend, to look at the consequence of the secret speech outside the Soviet Union, in particular in Eastern Europe. So as I said, I'll probably do a video on this at the weekend, and again, this bit will need to be done for either to see you physically on Tuesday in class, or obviously you're going to have to do it on your own sometime. I'll see you in Teams next week. But the next thing we're going to have a look at is this bit about the consequences outside the Soviet Union and with China in particular. Because what I then want to move on to kind of towards the end of next week is to think about some of Khrushchev's other reforms. But you can quite easily see an interpretation question being about de-Stalinization or Khrushchev's rise to power. So hence why I need to know lots of stuff about this. Any problems or issues, let me know. And I will, as I said, do another video probably Saturday or something like that. Might be Friday, but around that sort of time anyway. Okay, any problems, let me know. And I'll speak to you all soon.